I never imagined my own children would lock me in a home and walk away. But that day, I learned what loneliness truly feels like. I still remember that morning as if it were yesterday. My house smelled like the jasmine tea I had brewed for breakfast. I called out to my children they were supposed to be with me, helping me with chores, maybe even laughing together like we used to. But when I opened the door, there was a car waiting. Bags packed. My children stood there, faces stern, hands cold. "Mom, this is for the best," they said. "You'll be safer here." I didn't understand. Safer? Safer from what? I had cared for them all their lives, nursed them through fevers, celebrated every success, wiped every tear. And this was my reward. The car ride was silent. I stared out the window, watching the streets of my neighborhood fade away, realizing that they were leaving me behind like a worn-out thing no one needed. When we arrived, the doors of the old home loomed over me like a gray shadow. The walls smelled of antiseptic and forgotten memories. The nurses smiled politely, but their smiles couldn't reach the emptiness in my heart. I sat in my room, staring at the clock. Hours passed, and no one called. No one came. My own children had abandoned me. I cried until my eyes were swollen, until my hands shook, until the silence became unbearable. I whispered to myself, "What have I done wrong to deserve this?" Then, in that darkness, I noticed the other residents. Old women with sad eyes, men who hadn't smiled in years. And in their loneliness, I saw something familiar, a reflection of my own heart. A small thought crept in, almost like a whisper. Maybe this isn't the end. Maybe I can still do something with the rest of my life. I didn't know it then, child, but that spark, that tiny glimmer of hope, was about to change everything. I would soon discover a way to give my life a new purpose, and teach my children that abandoning me had not broken me, it had made me stronger. The first few days were the hardest. I felt invisible, forgotten, like my heart had been thrown away with my old belongings. But then I noticed something that changed everything. I spent the first night staring at the ceiling, the hum of the old home's lights filling the silence. Every tick of the clock felt louder than the last. I missed my children, even though they had hurt me. I missed my home, my garden, the little rituals that gave my days meaning. The other residents didn't talk much. Most were lost in their own memories, some angry, some sad, all alone. But in their faces, I saw what I felt inside, a deep, aching loneliness that seemed endless. The next morning, I wandered into the common room. A few elderly men were sitting quietly, a lady knitting, another staring at the window with tears rolling silently down her cheeks. I sat in a chair across from them. My hands shook, my heart heavy. But I whispered softly, almost to myself, "We're all in this together, aren't we?" A small smile appeared on the knitting lady's face. "Yes, we are," she said. It wasn't much, but it was a start. That day, I made a decision. I wouldn't let this sorrow destroy me. I may be forgotten by my children, but I could still make a difference here, in this little home, in the lives of those around me. I began helping where I could, organizing small things, talking to the residents, listening to their stories. At first, it felt strange, almost meaningless. But soon, I noticed something magical. The men and women who rarely spoke now looked forward to seeing me. They smiled more. They laughed quietly at my old stories. One evening, as I helped an elderly man adjust his blanket, he whispered, "Grandma, you make this place feel like a home again." Tears welled in my eyes. I realized something I hadn't felt in years. I mattered. I could matter, even here, even now. But child, just as I began feeling a spark of peace, something happened that shook me to my very core. One night, I found a letter slipped under my door. My name was written in my son's handwriting. But it wasn't an apology. It was a warning. Just when I thought I had found some peace, a letter arrived that made my heart stop. It was from my son, but not the words I had been waiting for. It was late at night when I noticed the envelope under my door. My hands trembled as I picked it up. The paper was worn, the ink shaky, but it was unmistakably my son's handwriting. I hesitated. I had imagined this moment 1,000 times in my heart calls, visits, apologies, love returning. But as I unfolded the letter, the words hit me like ice water. "Mom, don't expect me to visit. Things have changed. You need to stay there. This is for the best." I sank into my chair, tears streaming freely. For a moment, I felt my old despair creeping back, threatening to swallow the small hope I had nurtured here. My own child had given up on me completely. I wanted to crumple the letter, throw it away, scream at the walls, but instead, I sat quietly and let the tears fall. And then, I remembered something I had almost forgotten. The faces of the residents around me. Their trust, their smiles, the tiny gratitude in their eyes. A thought struck me like lightning. If my own blood couldn't see my worth, I would find it elsewhere. I could give love, care, and hope to others who felt forgotten, just as I had felt. The next morning, I started visiting each resident, asking about their lives, their memories, their dreams. I helped organize small activities, knitting circles, storytelling hours, little tea gatherings. Each smile I received filled the emptiness in my chest. And slowly, I began to feel alive again. One day, a young volunteer asked me, "Grandma, how do you stay so strong, so full of life?" I smiled, my eyes shining. "Child, when they leave you behind, you can either crumble, or you can rise stronger than ever." But just as I began to believe I had found my purpose, a shadow from my past appeared, a visit I never expected, one that could shake the fragile peace I had built. The next morning, my son walked through the doors of the home, and he was not alone. I never thought I'd see him again. My own son, the one who abandoned me, standing in the doorway of the home I had learned to call my new home. That morning, I was in the common room, helping a few residents arrange flowers, when I heard the familiar voice calling my name. My heart froze. I turned slowly, and there he was, San, taller, older than I remembered, with a nervous stiffness in his posture. Behind him, a lawyer or some official-looking man carried a folder. My mind raced. Why was he here? Apologies, regret, or something worse. He took a hesitant step forward. I didn't know how to. I held up a hand. Stop, he just. Stop. My voice was firm, steady, stronger than I felt inside. I looked around at the residents, the little community I had built here. They were my family now. And I realized something. I wasn't that lonely, broken woman anymore. He swallowed hard. I wanted to bring you back home. Things. We missed you. I shook my head slowly, tears threatening to spill, but my voice was calm. You left me, son. You chose your life without me. I could have crumbled. I could have begged. I could have waited. But I didn't. Look around you. This is my home now. These people, they needed me. And I needed them. He looked down, ashamed, unsure. I saw regret in his eyes, but I also saw something I didn't recognize. Fear. Fear that the woman he thought was helpless was no longer the same. I took a deep breath. Child, do you see, son? Life gave me a second chance here. You abandoned me, but I didn't let that define me. I found purpose, found love, and I am not coming back to a house that once held only disappointment. I am here, and I am strong. He said nothing. The lawyer cleared his throat, but I barely noticed. I had won something far greater than any argument: my dignity, my strength, my peace. But just as I thought the moment had passed, he whispered, almost pleading, Mom, I have something to tell you. Something I should have told you years ago. Child, what he said next would shake my heart again and make me question everything I thought I knew about him. He finally spoke. The words he whispered that day shook me, but instead of breaking me, they set me free. He stood there, eyes full of shame, voice trembling. Mom, there's something I never told you. Something I should have said years ago. My heart clenched. Child. I wanted to turn away, to protect the fragile peace I had built here, but I stayed. I had faced abandonment before I could face this too. He took a deep breath. When you grew older, I didn't know how to care for you. I thought sending you to the home would make things easier. I was selfish. I wanted my own life, without the guilt of having to care for you every day. And I regret it. I listened quietly, tears brimming in my eyes. For years, I had blamed myself, wondering if I had failed as a mother, as a grandmother. But hearing him confess, it wasn't my fault. It never was. I smiled softly, a smile that came from years of pain, endurance, a newfound strength. Son, I forgive you, not because I need your forgiveness, but because I am free. Free from the pain you caused. Free from the loneliness. Free to live the life I chose. Here, with these people who love me, and with the purpose I found. His eyes welled with tears. Mom, I never realized. You were strong, stronger than all of us. I know that. Child, sometimes people forget the value of love until it's almost too late. But life gives us chances to grow, even when others abandon us. I could have stayed broken, but I didn't. I chose hope. I chose action. I chose love, even in sadness. From that day, I never looked back. My children learned a painful lesson too late. That abandoning someone you love cannot break their spirit. It can only reveal their strength. I spent my remaining years helping others, guiding young volunteers, comforting the lonely, and sharing my story with anyone who would listen. I had found my purpose, child, not through the people who left me, but through the ones I chose to embrace. And every time I tell my story, I hope it reaches someone sitting alone, abandoned, or forgotten, and reminds them that even in the darkest hours, life can still give you a new purpose. Child, remember this: no matter how deeply you are hurt, no one can take away your strength. Unless you let them. I didn't, and neither should you.